if I have to pick something, because I like honestly, I have no idea, but if I have to pick something, I'm going with it's a spacecraft harvester, energy, soul recycler.
Good evening, listeners, brave navigators of the enigmatic and the concealed. Have you ever felt the pull of the unanswered, the allure of the mysteries that shroud our existence? For more than a decade, a unique comic publisher has dared to dive into these mysteries, unafraid of the secrets they might uncover. This audacious entity is Paranoid American. Welcome to the mystifying universe of the Paranoid American podcast.
Launched in the year 2012, Paranoid American has been on a mission to decipher the encrypted secrets of our world. From the unnerving enigma of MK-Ultra mind control to the clandestine assemblies of secret societies. From the awe-inspiring frontiers of forbidden technology to the arcane patterns of occult symbols in our very own pop culture. They have committed to unveiling the concealed realities that lie just beneath the surface. Join us as we navigate these intricate landscapes, decoding the hidden scripts of our society and challenging the accepted perceptions of reality.
Folks, I've got a big problem on my hands. There's a company called Paranoid American making all these funny memes and comics. Now, I'm a fair guy. I believe in free speech, as long as it doesn't cross the line. And if these AI-generated memes dare to make fun of me, they're crossing the line.
This is your expedition into the realm of the extraordinary, the secret, the shrouded. Come with us as we sift through the world's grand mysteries, question the standardized narratives, and brave the cryptic labyrinth of the concealed truth. So strap yourselves in, broaden your horizons, and steel yourselves for a voyage into the enigmatic heart of the Paranoid American podcast, where each story, every image, every revelation brings us one step closer to the elusive truth.
Welcome back, another episode of Paranoid American Podcast, and today we've got a rising star in the scene, Nicole Wordsmith. You might have seen her on a couple different SyncTank episodes and on her Fire Twitter account. That she's kind of constantly posting some like absolute sleepers. So I wanted to just invite her here, get a little bit more context on who we've invited into the SyncTank, make sure that we haven't opened ourselves up to some kind of external influences. So welcome to the Paranoid American podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. It's an honor. Yeah, please bear with me. I'm not really a public speaker. I get pretty nervous, and I didn't get my beauty sleep last night. So there's that.
All right, let's just bring it back down just like this. So you're not in the hot speed or anything.
Woo! Thank you.
You're out. Hold on. Actually, there is one thing. Nicole Wordsmith, are you a cop? Because if you're a cop, you have to tell me right now. That's how the law works.
No, I'm not a cop. Definitely not.
Okay. All right. You've got that on record. We've got that on record. All right. So what is it that you do? Like when you're posting, do you have a name for it? I guess I'm new to this world a little bit of finding patterns and putting names to the patterns and stuff. I understand it as synchromysticism, but I guess that's also just like a name that someone came up with recently. So what do you think you're doing when you're posting? Do you have a name for it?
No. Well, so for me, and I think I post a lot about like the matrix, right? I'm always like in this matrix, blah, blah, blah. And I think it triggers people and annoys them. But like at some point I started to realize like there's like symbols and there's patterns that are going on. And I don't know, that it is a type of matrix, but like everything is symbolic of something. Like have you ever heard about how dreams are supposedly all communicated via symbolism?
I've heard, concepts of that, yeah, where everything is allegory and everything. Like that's the whole point of as above, so below, is that it's supposed to teach this way of thinking where if you can understand something in one context, then you can understand it in other contexts, and that these same patterns exist in like all these different level. It's the high level version of that I understand.
Yeah. I think like during like 2020, I listened to an audiobook by David Wilcock where he was teaching you how to wake up in the dream. And I took it as like lucid dreaming, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to lucid dream. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to like record what I remember. And I'm going to try to like, huh?
Did you end up doing lucid dreaming?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty weak in discipline. I have great ideas, but then my follow through is not a super strong game. It did, like, there was things that happened in there. Like, I remember I did record my dream, and then the next day I woke up and I was watching that show, the OA, and like my dream that I had the night before was like the scene in the show, which isn't like that prophetic, you know what I mean? It's just like a TV show that I'm watching that my dream matched, but it did like give me some data to be like, okay, there is like some premonition here with these dreams. But like ultimately, like a year later, I started to think back on his book, and I was like, ooh, this is like life. Like life is a dream. Everything that
Are you talking about Carlos Castaneda?
Huh?
When you said you were looking back at the book, are you talking about Carlos Castaneda or what book?
It was David Wilcock. Have you ever heard of him?
The David Wilcock book. Okay, because you're talking about OA, so I thought you were transitioning to Carlos. I don't know if you've heard that connection before. Okay, well go on about David Wilcock. You ended up reading the book.
Oh yeah. Like a year or two later, it occurred to me like it wasn't like dreaming in my sense of like going to bed at night and dreaming. It was like recognizing this world is a dream in some sense, like talking about like repeating numbers, repeating patterns. Also kind of this like the concept like we are all one, right? And everybody in the dream is a reflection of something about you. And so I don't know. Yeah, anyway, like just to say, like when I learned about dreams, at first I thought I was learning about like the dreams that I would have when I went to sleep at night. And as I was looking around and like observing the world, it kind of occurred to me like, oh shit, like this is the dream. It's kind of like a bad dream, but it's the dream.
This will be, I mean, the OA connection. Even the reason I brought it up is because one of my really good friends, she does kind of like lucid dream work, but she's obsessed with the OA show, as I guess anyone should be that's into sort of synchronism. That the whole premise is kind of based on this thing that Carlos Castaneda was talking about, and all those movements where they're like doing weird stuff with their fingers and weird things with like their elbows and all this. What it is they're harvesting these latent areas where energy is supposed to be built up in your aura or whatever. And they're like, that's why it's like in between the fingers and it's like inside the elbow. Like they're basically scraping all this unused energy, and then they're trying to turn it into something usable in some way, like little battery cells or something. And that they don't really convey that in the show about the OA, but that's exactly where all those movements come from. Anyways, and Abby's like savant when it comes to information about how that show connects to Carlos Castaneda, connects to like navigating dream world. And they've been on the side kind of guiding me and teaching me the tricks of lucid dreaming. So like one of them, have you ever heard of a reality check?
I have, but I forget. Remind me.
Okay, well, this is probably the easiest one, is that you do something like I got a cup here. I usually have like a cup of water or something nearby. If you got a can, every once in a while, do it if it's like empty too. It's better if it's empty. But imagine that when you go to grab it, that your hand goes completely through it. That you're like, just convince yourself you're in a dream right now. And when I go and grab that can, or when I go and grab, the mouse or whatever, my hand's just going to go right through that thing because I'm in a dream. And obviously it doesn't happen. And you have to be like conscious that you don't accidentally knock your cup over, right? But if you're actually in a dream, if you train yourself to do that just every once in a while, like 4 or 5 times a day, just naturally, at one point when you're in a dream, if it can be turned lucid, then you'll think that same thought. You'll be like, oh, let me go ahead and just reach right through this cup, and it'll happen at one point. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm actually in a dream now. And then the trick is to just not wake up immediately.
Ah, awesome. So like, how many times have you done it?
Maybe 10.
Really?
At
That's
the most.
the
Yeah,
lowest.
I'm an absolute baby. I didn't even think it was possible for the longest time. I thought people were just lying, or I used to be like, so you were daydreaming, and it's like, no, lucid dreaming is different than daydreaming, and it is, but it's really hard. And the other one too is that if you're in what feels like could be a lucid dream, like if you wake up, don't move, don't get up, don't do anything. Just try to go right back to sleep and kind of like think about going right back there. And sometimes it'll help. I don't know. And it's because it will be interesting that if you walk around this consciousness thinking this is a dream, then having more control over like an actual lucid dream state would just give you even more data for your input, right?
Yeah. Well, so what's the coolest thing you've ever done in your lucid dream?
The coolest thing it's funny, I can remember right afterwards, but it's still a dream, so I kind of forget like what the after effects are. There was one point when I realized that I was in like a Groundhog Day scenario and that all the people around me were kind of like computers, or they could be reset, like it was a VR world. So I was like playing a VR reality inside of a lucid dream, and I knew that the like outside the VR part was the lucid dream part, and I could go into like a VR version of it. And that's pretty much all I remember of it. But like I knew it was a lucid dream because I could just do anything that I wanted, like anything that I thought of. Although it's always within like these limits. It's like you still live within a function that has certain parameters, and you can't go outside those whenever you're like locked in one of those dreams.
I wonder how many people just like immediately have sex when they know they're in a lucid dream.
I mean, because sometimes that's the proof, right? It's like, I mean, if this scenario went down, this has got to be a dream. It's a reality check, I guess, in a different way. So, and there's a lot of them too. A lot of like people will wear like a rubber band on their wrist and just snap it every once in a while. And the point is that then when you're in a dream, you kind of like go to snap it and you realize it's not there. It's supposed to let you know, hey, this is not regular reality.
That is so weird. You know, so I'm a girl. I have long hair. So I've always just kept a hair tie around my wrist most of my life. Like I've had a freaking rubber band.
You've probably already been doing this.
But I had ChatGPT like draw a picture of what it thought I looked like based on just like my energy or whatever. And it drew this like kind of witchy looking like dark haired woman. But she had a hair tie around her wrist. And I thought that was just so interesting that ChatGPT like picked up on that hair tie thing around the wrist without ever, I mean, maybe it has seen my wrist, but, I
think, well, that, but also statistically, it probably just knows that it was actually like a fashion statement to have hair ties in like different colors and wear them in different ways. No?
I wonder if there's something symbolic though. Like when you say if like the rubber band around the wrist is like a reality check, I wonder if there's some sort of like symbolism to so many women in this matrix with a hair tie around their wrist at all times.
I wonder if that makes women naturally more prone to lucid dreaming, or like they can slip into it easier because they've got this built-in reality check that they've like been unconsciously wearing their entire lives.
Yeah, well, the moon, right? Women are tied to the moon, and the moon is tied to like dreams and lunacy.
Is the moon real? Let me just ask you right away.
Is it real?
Is the moon real?
Yeah, it's real.
Is it in outer space?
Like, is it like a floating rock? Like,
I guess if that's the definition, yeah.
No, I don't think so.
So if it's not a floating rock, what is it?
It's a luminary, right? I don't know.
Is it a physical object, or do you think it's like an ethereal thing?
That is a hard one because sometimes I like to think that there's like Nazis on the moon or whatever. But I don't know. Could it be like a satellite or something? Is it like a Truman Show satellite?
Or like an alien craft? Oh man, I can't remember if it was called Moon or if it wasn't called Moon. There was this joint project between, I want to say, like the Chinese government and the US government, and they came up with this movie that was about the moon as this big hollow spacecraft or something.
Yeah, if I have to pick something, because honestly, I have no idea, but if I have to pick something, I'm going with it's a spacecraft harvester, energy, soul recycler.
Okay, fair enough. We'll get into that a little bit later too. We'll ease back into the conspiracy talk. One of the reasons that I think that you usually pop on the SyncTank and all of a sudden have us talking about like cool new topics is that you're paying attention to stuff that's happening in real time, which I don't have the luxury of doing. So I almost get some of my news through you, but I'm just like going through some of the posts. And for example, you had this post earlier today and it said, symbolically, cars represent our bodies in this matrix. Why do you, who do you think the rise of the driverless vehicles indicates? And the first thing I thought of, have you heard the theory that the Pixar movie Cars is actually takes place in the future and that those are people?
No.
So if you go back and watch Cars, any of the Cars movies, but most of the cars, the main characters, you can't see inside of the windows. They're all always tinted out. And there's this theory, I think it's called the Pixar timeline theory, and it starts with Brave. I want to say it starts with Brave. And then the one that's the most in the future, I believe, is Cars. And that's because humans have ruined their... Have you ever seen WALL-E, the robot that like has to clean up the planet because it's all garbage?
Yeah.
So WALL-E is sort of in like the immediate future, but in the far future, humans come back and they realize that they weren't able to clean the earth up, and now we have to just figure out how to live with pollution, and we eventually just shell ourselves in plastic, and we slowly turn into actual these car exoskeletons become our actual like exoskeleton, and we're just goo inside with brain and nerve endings and stuff inside those cars. So when you were saying this whole thing about like cars represent our bodies in this matrix, that's literally it's like a fanfic theory, but it's probably one of my favorite ones, is that in the Cars movie that takes place like 3,000 years from now, we're actually inside these little cars and they are our bodies.
That's fascinating. Well, and also like, I don't know how old you are, but like for me, Transformers.
I'm 40s, like, early 40s.
Okay. Well, yeah, close. We're probably close. Transformers, right? Like, did you grow up watching Transformers on Saturday
Transformers and Voltron, and then I felt like I was too old, but I was still the right age group for Power Rangers, which was essentially a live action version of Transformers.
I think I remember Power Rangers, but I was already out like smoking cigarettes and stuff.
Okay, yeah. Me too, but I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's funny. There is something about like I had that theory for a long time, like in terms of like dreams and symbolism and everything represents something else. Like, and for me, it started with the words. I was like, oh, there's like auto bodies and lube shops and gas and like all of these like human terms that we have for like a sex drive or what else? I've done like lots of like cars and karma, like
they're engineered to be extensions of us, and that's how they've been marketed for our entire lives, is that your car is supposed to be this extension of you and your personality, and that you can feel it when you're on the road. And it's kind of true too, when you drive a little car versus you drive a big car, you almost have this extra spatial awareness where you can like quote unquote feel a car getting too close to you, in your lane or something. And it's like a weird spidey sense. Like like your hairs will stand up a little bit when you feel someone kind of veering in a little bit, which is weird. Like it's a literal extension of us when we kind of adapt it like that.
I hate those big trucks that have like the spikes coming out the wheel. Why do they do that?
It's like a Roman Colosseum on the road. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cars and karma and reincarnation and like Jesus take the wheel and there is so much symbolism that I feel like our bodies, like our bodies they're a vessel, right? Like our bodies are a vessel. Life is the road.
Well, that's definitely more of an American saying too. And that's, how does that play into this wordplay that America is kind of the home of the highway, and that before American car culture, it was sort of rare to have your own individual transportation that could bring you all the way across the country. It was sort of unheard of.
Ah, that's a great point. The most highway.
And that's one of the things too that people, I think, undervalue in the U.S. and U.S. culture, is that there, at a certain point, and again, this is coming from the Cars movie. I'm just like channeling the last time I saw the first Cars movie.
I never saw it.
It's all about losing this like Americana nostalgic feeling, but in their world of it, it was that people would just drive out onto the open road and just drive for a couple hours. And it's like, well, where are you going? Like, I'm nowhere. I'm just driving around and I'm looking at mountain. Like, this is my version of, I guess, experiencing nature, is to drive around in a truck and then drive back home at a certain point.
It is like, yeah, Sunday morning drive. Also, I think about sometimes Detroit, right? Like being the 8 Mile like motor city, and the race riots, like the human race and the automobile race.
Well, and that was actually, Detroit is on Flint, Michigan. Thank you, Michael Moore, for dropping all this. But his whole like Roger and Me thing, it showed how that was one of the first huge economic booms that America kind of like figure out a way to get through, regardless if it was built on like Operation Paperclip spoils, whatever. Get over it, right? But like they made this huge auto industry, and then once the auto industry got big enough to where it was a global player, it was now like this international huge power player, they just turned globalist immediately, and they just kind of like uprooted, left Detroit, left the entire area in Michigan, and then they were gone, and that entire area just kind of, and if you were watching a Michael Moore film, I think the one good point that he makes is he's like, this seems like a horrible analogy for the whole country, where like someone will use the resources of the country, get big and famous and rich, and then just immediately withdraw everything and then take it and go and spend it elsewhere, and not even like re-enrich that area. And this question of, do you owe anything to the location that you founded your huge successful corporation at? And I can't get over that is Detroit to me. Detroit is like this big gaping wound that still needs to be like healed. Yeah.
I also think I heard this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I had heard somewhere that Detroit was now like the hub of making like androids, like humanoid type.
Like underground or above ground?
I think it's underground, but
well, there was a rumor for a while that the cops wouldn't even police certain areas in Detroit because it was just so underfunded that those precincts didn't have people to just patrol. So that would then invite criminal operations to be like, oh, well, if there's no cameras on and there's no one paying attention, I'll go and do this stuff here. So I've heard a lot of weird harvesting operations that may or may not be happening underground in Detroit and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I want to believe all of them, but that also means that I might as well believe none of them.
Fair.
Another one that you mentioned was this thing on feedback loops. And I don't want to try and restate your whole thing. I'm sure you've got your own thoughts on like what these feedback loops are, but I almost took that as one of these annoyingly circular conversations, ironically, that it's about a feedback loop. But it's almost like when you're talking about atheism and religion, because by not engaging in a feedback loop is you still giving feedback to that feedback loop. Your feedback is just opted out, right?
Yeah.
So what do we do with explain what your concept of feedback loops are first, I guess.
Well, for me, I just read the signs in the Matrix. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh, sorry, I don't know. I'm not supposed to cut.
Children, listen to this show. This is actually a show we play in schools.
I'm like, what is the deal? Like, why is every single company on the face of the earth asking me for my feedback? Like, give me a break. Who does this? Who has time to like give their and this went like years ago. I was like, I'm not doing a survey. Like, forget you. I've made my purchase. I've got like 2 hours between work and going to bed and getting up for work again. Like, I'm not going to like do a survey. But
you know what? It's an age thing too. It's a generational thing for sure.
Do younger people do surveys or older?
100. So when I was at Disney, I worked at Disney for about 10 years. And when I was at Disney, I got to go to a few of these like big meetings with a bunch of important people and, you know, CEOs and stuff. And there was this one meeting that I had to go to. I'll give you the shortest version that I can tell. The reason I was there is because I was working on like some online games and stuff where kids it was kind of like a Club Penguin, but Disney. Kids would go in and they would log in and create a character and go and talk to other characters through like emojis and stuff because they weren't allowed to actually like type anything horrible because then it just gets infiltrated. So anyways, there's like new laws that were passing that says you're not allowed to ask anyone that's I think like 13 or under any sort of identifying information of any kind, hair color, preferences of food, like any of that stuff in a sign-up form. So, and I remember asking, I was like, I have got a question. I was like, well, if you guys are going to make it so it's not required and it's just optional, does that concern any of you? You know, does that just mean that we're just adding a bunch of these fields for no reason? I'm going to add up 50 fields of this freaking form and no one's going to fill it out. Like, why are we even doing this? It seems overcomplicated. And he's like, oh, no, you should see the stats. These kids that are signing up now, like today's 8-year-olds, they're bending over backwards to tell you what their favorite their favorite variation of apple juice and their favorite brand of apple juice. And we don't even have to require it anymore. Like it was the previous generations, you had to require certain stuff. And then the new ones, they're kind of being groomed by feeding, being data entry experts on the internet. And the promise is that if you tell me your favorite flavor of ice cream, one day you'll get that. I'll give you that flavor of ice cream, essentially, right? You tell me your favorite movie, your favorite music. Well, when a new movie comes out, like you'll be the first to know. I'll make sure you get it. And even now, I guess like the newest generations, if you just tell them, hey, you need to train your algorithm, you need to feed your algorithm, they kind of understand what that means. But imagine, we're in the early 2000s and someone's like, you got to feed your algorithm. You're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Okay. That never occurred to me, feeding the algorithm, but like in term for the kids and like wanting to program it to be what they want. I was taking it as the way I see it is like loops relate to Saturn, which is time. And kind of just this, like when things are like glaringly annoying in this matrix, to me, I take it as a message. Like there's some shit that we're not seeing that we need to be like, okay, what is that about? And what is it? Like, what is the symbolism behind it? What does it mean? And so I take, like loops are related to time and the Ouroboros and just the time that it takes, right? Like surveys are time consuming. Like we are all fighting for time. We have such little time and everything that we do now is exhausting. Like everything, like every company has its own app. It has its own login. You forget your login. You've got to do the like reset my password. You've got to do like 2 types of what is that called when you're like
the 2-factor authentication. It gets even more annoying than that too. Yeah.
Yeah. You get locked out. You got to read like the things that were like supposed to make everything easier have become increasingly harder. Like you used to pay a bill. Like when I was first growing up, like you just paid a bill, like you wrote a check and you put it in the mail. Now you're like,
it's getting dangerously close to back in my day.
You got to log in. You've got to like figure it out. You got to get to the app. You've got to like, oh, your credit card's expired, and you got to like everything is just like way more complicated than it ever was before.
Well, because for some people, complication is convenient, right? Like the amount of complication you can add to a system. If you're the one that's in control of that complexity, then there's an incentive for you to keep making it complex because then you've got a service to fill. As a good analogy too are like the TurboTax style companies where they're the biggest lobbyists for making taxes complicated because now you have to use their services. And if they were simplified, then they would go away. So I think it's the same thing, just multiplied across all platforms. Like a thing, and the ultimate solution, not to get all like Book of Revelation, but I think the ultimate solution is going to be
chip in your forehead.
Whatever it is. Yeah, whatever. I actually think that when it gets dangerous, the chip in your forehead or like even a little chip in your hand, like all that stuff, I think that's so small thinking because it's easy to resist a surgery, right? It's easy to be like, you're not putting that thing in me. But imagine if it becomes so easy that it's just about opting in. It's just about mentally signing a contract and checking a box and then like blinking 3 times to death. And it's just like, all you got to do is just stand in this light and agree to the contract and you're in, and there's no surgery involved. Then it's really hard to not get the mark of the beast or whatever it is, right? And I think that's probably what's next on the horizon. It's not going to be you have to get a chip. It's going to be like sign this contract and that's it.
Yeah, you didn't read the terms and conditions, right? Did you see that episode of Black Mirror where everybody's like, "Oh, you didn't read the terms and conditions"?
Yeah. well, now you'd have an AI agent that will like do all that for you and summarize it and then like converse with them. I think that the next step too is that maybe we can negotiate those terms. Right now, it's a one-way street. It's like you either accept everything or you don't use the service. But imagine you have an AI agent that's negotiating with their AI lawyer. And it's like, well, look, I'm going to sign off on these things, but not these. And then it just all happens instantly. And then you walk away with like a slightly better terms on your negotiation, I guess.
It's so wild. Yeah.
But, and the whole point, and this isn't just like silly little tangents and thought experiments. The point is that the feedback loops, like, why would you fill out a survey for anyone ever? Let me just add like the most practical reason. Why would you not just be like, thanks, and then just throw it immediately in the garbage?
If the only reason I would fill out a survey is if I was going to get something for doing it.
Right. You're either going to get a coupon or a free thing, or at the most altruistic, it's almost the promise that this product will get better or the offerings will get better based on my feedback, which is either like I'm helping that company so that they can help me in the future by making something better or whatever it is, right? That's technically that's like the negotiation of it. But the feedback loop really is that if you respond and you fill out a survey, you just kind of like it's like a magic spell. If you reperform the ritual, then you strengthen the bonds a little bit more, and you just created this relationship. So now you have a closer relationship with whatever corporation that you're doing surveys for versus these other corporations, right? And now, and I think this is where it gets kind of like abstract, but now the companies are like, oh, so if I just have you fill out a survey, you feel more attached to my brand. So I'm just going to send you a survey once in a while. I don't care what the hell your favorite flavor of. I'm just going to throw these out. Maybe we'll store them and we'll let the AI figure something out useful. But really, all I care about is that you feel that I care enough about you that I want your opinion. And it ends there. It just ends at me making you feel like I care about you. But in the meantime, people are like, oh, well, I've the sunken cost fallacy. I filled out the last 20. Might as well fill out this next one. And so they really do turn themselves into this like trance.
That is so wild. It's like that is a concept even beyond my comprehension right now. Like to me,
just think about like how often do you think they actually care about any of the questions that they ask on some of these things?
They don't. I mean, in my opinion, they don't care at all. Like they don't care. They like Michael Jackson, right? They don't care about us. Like they exist to torture us. Like they exist to frustrate us and make our lives busy. And I mean, partly make us complicit in it. Like you said, with the TurboTax people, like lawyers, it's the same thing. Like the people who are designed to protect our rights and our constitutions and like stand up for the laws, they don't, because they profit financially from complicating it and then helping people like unravel it. So we live in this like big mountain of like shit where everybody like shits on everybody else, and that's just like how we have to get along in this world.
I gotta steer us a little bit into like conspiracy culture, and there was something that happened recently. Now, I'm not trying to open up wounds or anything, but there was something that happened recently that kind of invited this whole like Sandy Hook thing all over again. It was this Camp Mystic where the lake, I guess, flooded and a whole bunch of girls died at this camp. And a couple things came out. First, there was the whole bunch of this was an elite ritual and they were like sacrificing children to Baal or whatever that angle is. And then there was the angle of, can't you see this is all fabricated and made up? No one actually died. They're either actors or AI or whatever those different angles are. And you kind of had a pretty rational take on this one. And you were talking about, it wasn't even like a direct response. It was like, let's sort of explore the reasons why someone would say something like this. Why would you even say that no one died at this event? And your examples were a trauma defense. So, they're trying to like prevent that from entering their psyche, narcissism, magical thinking, and narrative control. So what's your personal connection to this event? Just to put cards on table.
Yeah. So this is close to my home. One of like the people that I'm pretty close to, the people I work with, And so my only boss, like my boss who I care about very much, she sent me a message that, was it that Friday night or that Saturday night? She was like, she sent it out to me and my other coworker, but she's like, I need you guys to pray. I need you to get on your knees and just pray your hearts out right now. She's like, one of my friend's daughters is missing. And so that was just like, and it was just like terrifying because you can't help it. I think as a mom too, to put yourself in that position, like there's guilt. There's like, you have a little child, the kids are scared when they go away to camp by themselves for the first time. Like my daughter cried when I took her when she was like kindergarten, just because she missed us. And so like, yeah, it's just a hard thing because it's real. It happened. One of the other partners in our firm, his granddaughter was killed also. And then like someone at my boss's child's, they're wealthy, right? So they go to, that was an expensive camp, but
how expensive?
It's like, I think it's like 6,000 or 7,000 for.
Okay. Attainably expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like 100,000.
It's like space camp, but for Jesus, I guess. I don't know. Is it a Christian thing? It is a Christian thing. I don't know that much about it. I remember when I was like, someone told me about it and I looked into it and I was like, no, like that's way out of our, like you'll never be going to Camp Mystic. But I'm just going to call it Jesus Space Camp for now until I learn more about it.
Yeah. It seemed cool that everyone who like went there, it was like a sorority type thing, like mothers, daughters, generational. But no, it happened. And I also know first responders who were there, right? So it's like I heard of like it was validated for me, and it was terrifying and it was tragic and it's like awful. I'm not saying that there's not higher order, like it happened during the Sirius portal and it happened on the Guadalupe and it happened, that's the dog star. Like there was symbolism there that could indicate there was like.
What does that mean that it happened on the Sirius portal? Like how does Sirius tie into the day that it happened?
Sirius, it's related to like ISIS and the flooding of the Nile that used to happen. And I don't know, like the how do you say that? Heliacal rising or of the Sirius star?
I'm absolute ignorant in this whole area.
Okay. I forget the particulars of it. I mean, there was symbolically, like there was stuff to kind of like indicate it could have been orchestrated from outside of the simulation or the matrix or wherever we are, right? Or maybe it was deliberate. I don't know. Like that doesn't matter to me, like whether it was deliberate or whether it was an act of God, whether it was just a random tragedy. But like as human beings, I think we need to show up for each other, like believe each other and like witness our pain, right? Like it's a terrible thing to suffer and then to have people be callous or not believe you or not care about you. And I think it contributes to like, if we're all like microcosms of the macrocosm and we're living in this world of like pretty shitty, right? Like it's pretty rough out. Like Earth is a rough, harsh planet.
Until they invented AC. It was way worse before someone invented central AC too.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know.
That long ago. This is like 100 years ago, right?
God, who knows? Like, I don't know. It could have been better back then. And sometimes I wonder if they didn't program us to think
before the oil company raised the temperature, right? Al Gore and the oil companies, they make it hotter, so now you need the AC. Yeah,
maybe things were. I don't know. Maybe things were really rough back then, and we are very lucky. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder though, like, did they, how they're always like, oh, lifespan is getting so long. Y'all are living so long and lives are longer. And then we look at the Bible and it's like, Noah's sons are living like 800, 900 years.
That's actually one of my other gripes growing up. And this is a weird way that statistics and math can be used to just shape reality in ways that almost become like solid in your brain, but not in like actual. So the whole thing about we're living longer or people used to live shorter, longer lifespans, they always calculate in a world war. So if there's a world war and you send all your 17-year-olds off to war and they all die, like that absolutely destroys that whole entire life. Like that actually means that the guy that didn't go to war, his lifespan technically just shrunk by about 17 years because a whole bunch of 17-year-olds died. And it doesn't mean that he got less healthy or that the world got more unhealthy. It's just that statistically, because so many people didn't make it beyond 17, it kind of puts its thumb on the scale a little bit. And those kinds of statistics can be creatively used to say things like we're living longer or we're not living as long as we used to. And that was one of the first, because I got into an argument with like my dad or something for like months about how this was like a weird thing. He was the wrong person to talk about. He just likes to argue. So, but that was like one of the first times that I realized, oh, like this actually shaped reality. Like people are going to be citing these statistics for the rest of my life, not knowing that someone had their thumb on the scale when they were recording all this stuff. And it's just going to get perpetuated and decisions are made, like medical decisions and pharmaceutical decisions are made on these weird, wacky statistics.
Oh, yeah. Like how they told us everybody's like hobbits in the old days, right? Like they're like, oh, everyone was so short. But if they were taking the average height of like every baby that died before, its 5th birthday and then like averaging that height with like an average man, that would make the average height like 3 feet tall or 5 feet tall or whatever it was that they tell us we're like so much taller than our.
Well, do especially if you take out all the 17-year-olds that just went off to war.
Yeah.
Like that's where all the growth spurts are coming from.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. That whole like Bill Gates, how to lie with statistics. Was really genius.
Well, so with the Camp Mystic thing, did that change your mind on any previous events? Like, did you get swept up into any of the false flag crisis actor events prior to that? Or has your default usually been compassion first and then figure out if it was real later?
It went, what's the, like pendulum swung, right? Like I remember when Sandy Hook happened and I was like bawling. I was at my office when I found out about it. And then I never really doubted that until maybe like 2020. And then I was watching
Really?
all of the like all the other false flag stuff going on, or all the other psyops and all the other bullshit. And then I was like, okay, it was fake, right? But then I was telling my best friend about it, and this is in 20. Like I'll gauge my truth on like speaking to other people one-on-one, like. If I know,
what do they know though?
Like 2 degrees.
They don't know the truth, do they?
No, none of us do. I guess like we could all just be MK Ultra like every night, right? We could have our false memories implanted in us, and we'd have no idea. But like I'll give it like 2 or 3 degrees of separation to like validate a story. And I don't know, like I don't like Sandy Hook. I have no idea. I know there was a lot of like information that is like does not make any sense, right? They left a lot of holes in that story, a lot of bullshit. But I will say this, my best friend, who is not a conspiracy theorist, she like started to go down the Sandy Hook conspiracy thing. Her brother-in-law lived in Connecticut at that time. Her husband was like, hey, he was talking to his brother. He's like, hey, so-and-so, she thinks it was it's a conspiracy. And he got on the phone with her and he said, hey, I heard you that this was fake. And she's like, yeah. And she started like spouting off like all the reasons why. He said, fuck you. He said, I just got off the phone he's like, I just got home from a funeral. Fuck you. And he hung up on her. And she was like, that was it for her, right? She's like, I'm never like assuming anything again.
Okay. She touched the oven.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, okay, that's information. That like to me, that's information that I'm just gonna shut the hell up about things that I don't know about. Because some of the people that I've noticed online that post, this is fake, nobody died, right? Some of them just say no one died on 9/11. Like I'm very much old enough to have known that there were lots of people that died on 9/11. Like my friend's dad died on 9/11. So I just think it's risky. It's a slippery slope to to just make those broad strokes. And the media can manipulate anything, right? They can confuse us. They can put some 33s all over the place and people be like, oh yeah, that's fake. But they're not, like, it's so evil. They're not above killing everybody and then putting out bad information and then leaving everybody in a state of like confusion.
They might start unsanctioned wars and they might have all sorts of government corruption, but they would never lie about any of that. I mean, that would be just one step too far for them to actually fabricate information and put it out that was wrong.
Right. So I like, and then it wasn't even just that. Before Camp Mystic, I had also I had started to get involved, like, what can I do on a local level? And I started getting involved with like local kind of like prepper groups that maybe had some military, law enforcement, other people in it. And I just by like speaking with them and hearing their own personal stories of their lives, or like the things that they've been through, or the things that they saw, or the things
militias. You were going around just infiltrating militias?
No, yeah, maybe. I got bored with it too, though, because I was like I cannot just live my life like I went through a little bit of it where people on online, they're like, oh, you better stock up. There's going to be a this or that. That's
I mean, I lived through Y2K as well, so I understand the whole like prepper mentality where everyone thought that we were going back to the Stone Age. The electricity was going to go out. Planes were going to fall out of the sky. So yeah. I mean, we didn't convert or anything. We didn't go out and buy chickens and stuff, but people did. People did that stuff.
Did they? I guess I was a little too like.
Oh yeah, no, there was absolutely. I mean, there were probably few and far between, but there's a really good documentary called. It had the Y2K and right in the name of it. And it was an all archival documentary, and they follow this one lady, and she's got a well-paying job, and her kid's in school. She got a business that's like running itself, and she goes so hard on the prepper side. She sells her business, liquidates all the assets, pulls the kid out of school, cash in all of his funds and everything. And she's basically, and like sells the mortgage on her house and stuff, and basically says, yeah, well, if this Y2K thing doesn't happen, we're going to be screwed. But if it does, we just made the best, investment ever. And she's putting up, chicken coops, and she's going to do like the whole homesteader thing. And I think that represents, there was that whole Doomsday Prepper TV show that kind of got spawned out of those people that got the itch around Y2K. And it all started with like making your own pickles. And then before you know it, you're shopping for homes that have a bomb shelter in the backyard.
Yeah. And then I guess 9/11 didn't help that, right? Like I feel like that. I actually met a woman that did almost exactly what you said. Like she bought a milk cow. But that all happened after 9/11 was when
I don't know how you're going to protect yourself from 9/11. 9/11 had molten like metal pouring out of the basement. So I don't know what kind of bomb shelter you're going to get in a residential neighborhood, but it's not going to protect you from, whatever brought Building 7 down, I'll say.
Yeah, no. And for a minute, I was like falling into it where I was like, well, I better buy some like beans or some ramen or like whatever the hell I'm going to survive on for so I can live like 2 weeks longer than my neighbors, like when it goes down, right? And at some point I was like, it's like life is too short. Like this has been everybody else that's been out living their best life for the last like couple years. Like they're doing fine. I'm just going to take my chances. And if that's when God decides I should die, then I will die. And if God wants to rain bread down from the sky, I know he could do that too. So I'm just going to live my life from now on. So yeah, I've kind of pulled away from the prep. I think there is value in it. I mean, obviously they don't want us to learn how to be self-sufficient in any sense. We don't learn any practical skills in school. So I think it is I remember I was taking, they were teaching classes on how to cauterize a wound, how to pack a bullet hole, how to all sorts of.
In your school?
Not in school, in that little prepper group that I was going to. It was it was interesting. It was good information, but it wasn't where I wanted to spend my limited time and mental energy for me. I don't think that's going to be my strength in this world.
I think that there's absolutely I'm pro prepper 100%. If I had to vote, I'm voting for the prepper category versus non-prepper. But there's absolutely a level of LARPing that gets involved in a lot of that, where people will, drink unpasteurized milk, and now they think that they're going to survive in the wilderness with no like one of the good examples is there's a TV show, it's like a reality show called Alone or something, and they'll just put someone up in the middle of Alaska in the wilderness with a knife and be like, survive for as long as you can. And even people that make this their living, like they're a professional survivalist expert, the kind of guy that would get invited to talk at one of these little groups, right?
Yeah.
He'll show up not wearing shoes and stuff and showing off scars, and they'll put them out in the actual wilderness and be like, live here for a few months. And usually if you make it 2 to 3 months, you're like a god on earth, but they all are looking forward for it to end. And as soon as it ends, it's like, I'm going to McDonald's and I'm going to go and like hang out and, like hang out inside and not be under the sun and all this. So like, even it's almost like the prepper thing. Some people get so into it, not realizing that like that life kind of sucks. Like if you had to live the prepper life, it's way worse than if you're voluntarily opting into it. And then, you can have a normal life out in the town this weekend and then go back to prepper lifestyle. So it's like a really scary thing to want to commit to.
Oh, I believe it. My ex-husband was a prepper. And at that time, I thought he was like so insane. Like that was so far out there for me to be like prepping and thinking like society would ever collapse. Like I thought he was ridiculous. Like I thought he was.
What was the catalyst for your his prepping? Was it? I'm assuming not Y2K. So was it like 9/11? Was it like some kind of riots?
I actually don't know.
Just a general sense of dread about the world.
I think he was already a prepper when I met him.
Okay.
And I didn't think too deeply about it. And so, but he had like 1,000 guns, like the whole garage was filled with ammo.
Hoorah. Yep.
And then he'd be like late. He'd be like 6 hours late to dinner or something. He'd be like, sorry, I had to go to Costco. I bought some beans and I bought some rice and I brought you a gun. And I'd be like, and I was like, I didn't care about any of that stuff. And so I thought he was like just insane. And the thought of like, honestly, we got along so badly that like the thought of being like stuck with him in a bunker was like, I would rather die. I would rather be dead than spend the rest of my life like stuck in like a little.
But all those beans,
and some beans, your Crohn's disease. So
I think there's a dangerous line there too, where being a prepper is sometimes like a guy's version of retail therapy, where you can always justify another pack of MREs or some more ammo or another gun, because that's like real man protection, like survival stuff. It's not some silly little, but it is. It's like the same retail therapy as just going out and buying yourself a nice purse. You just happen to load yours with bullets.
Yeah. And I think he would have honestly, like, I think it would have been Christmas for him if something had gone down and he had the opportunity to like shoot people in his yard. Like if he had like free range to like shoot other people or like.
Maybe for the first 2 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you're sick inside. Like you got issues.
But I think that's part of the LARPing part. Like it's fun to imagine going all the way there, and then the second that you're actually cauterizing a wound on your own, then you're like, okay, I'm ready to go back to how things used to be.
I want my Snuggie socks and a warm shower.
Well, the prepper lifestyle is definitely conspiracy adjacent. I don't know. It's weird. It's like one of those things where just because you're a prepper doesn't, or I don't know how this goes. Just because you're a prepper doesn't mean you're a conspiracy theorist, but if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're definitely a prepper. Or maybe it's like the other way around, that if you're a prepper, you're definitely a conspiracy theorist. Because the whole thing is that like the world is not going to be okay. Either technology is going to fail or the government is going to collapse, but all those scenarios kind of rely on conspiracy in one way or the other. I don't know. It's like, where are you at on everything's a conspiracy versus everything's going to be okay?
I think, well, I do think, obviously I believe in conspiracy, right? Like it all starts in the Central Intelligence Agency, like the whole thing. It's just some like spiderweb mind trap of like lies, like everything is a lie. But I think ultimately, like I'm kind of religious, I guess.
Is the Bible a lie?
Like I don't think the Bible is a lie. I think we have been raised in such a lie, and the way that it's presented is so foreign to us. I think it's like a mystery. I don't think it's straightforward.
Do you think it's impossible for the Bible to have been perverted or
no,
co-opted by someone along the way?
No, I definitely don't think that's impossible. I do not think that, but I do, like, I believe in God for real, for sure, 100%. I believe in God, and so I believe it's kind of up to us what happens. Like this world, if we allow it into our minds and we don't like call on like that, like if we don't, I don't know, humble ourselves and surrender and like give up to the higher powers, I think like the darkness and the shadow will take over us. But I think it is up to us. Like a lot of those preppers, when I was kind of searching their hearts, they did not have, they didn't have faith, right? That's what it was. It was a sense of thinking that you could really control anything with just your own two hands and not relying on like the grace of God and the help of the universe to get you through whatever situation you had.
And Costco beans.
Yeah. Costco beans, the freaking beans. What are they called? They're like the beans that like reflower or whatever. I don't even remember what is that called?
Oh, there were beans to plant?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just like stocking up on, I guess, like baked beans or something.
No, yeah, it was like the kind that you plant.
I've only planted a bean when I was in like elementary school for like a science project.
I have the worst, like, I think I must be radioactive because I cannot keep a plant alive to save my life. Like, there's been so many times, I have a complex about it, but like, there's been so many times where I'm like, okay, this is the one. Like, I am really going to give this one. I'm going to care for this and protect it and love it and grow it. And it'll just like turn yellow and limp like right in front of my eyes.
I hate to say this, but you could just get a robot to do it. You just stick like one of these little things in and it connects to the Wi-Fi and it waters it as it needs it. And like, whatever, if it needs to hear music, it'll hear music, I guess.
Okay. All right. I'll try it. I'll test this robot thing out. Is there really a robot that takes care of a plant?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's all kinds. There's like auto watering things, and they'll test the nutrients, and then it'll even let you know, hey, you need to add this kind of nutrient to the soil or whatever. They're not even that crazy. They've been around for over a decade at this point.
That'll be okay. That'll be an interesting experience.
It's like using ChatGPT to grow your survival crops, I guess.
Yeah, well, because I feel like it's just something like in my energy field. Like I feel like there must be like something there that's not like, I'm not from Earth originally, is how I kind of take it. Like I must not be from this planet.
I think we got time to bring up one more of your posts. You had a whole bunch of them, but I noticed that Tupac comes up like more than just a few times in some of your postings. For example, one of them was talking about him being a Gemini ruled by Mercury, and that you had this picture where he had a bandana wrapped around his head with like the knot sticking up and the two little tails of the knot kind of looking like Mercury in this one perspective. It was a good visual between the two. But then you're talking about how he got shot in one of his lungs and that lung collapsed, so he was only left with one. So this was symbolic of one of the Gemini twins dying, I guess, and then like the other one survived. Did I summarize that well? Can you break it down?
Gemini rules the lungs.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's like the twin.
What does that mean? Like, what does it mean for Gemini to rule the lungs?
So there's like astrologically, like there's different planets that rule different parts of our body. Like, what's your sign?
Gemini.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's different parts of the body that are governed by the different planets. And it just like Capricorn is the knee, which is interesting because we have like our kneecaps, right? And like we're getting capped, and like Capricorn is Saturn, which is like, the hard father time in this matrix. So
these just like mnemonic devices, or is there like a practical application?
I've seen like time after time after time. I've seen symbology that relates to it. Like it's multiple, but there's clues in the words. So yeah, with Tupac, I don't know. Did you like Tupac? I loved Tupac.
I did. No, you know what? It was weird. Like I grew up in like a white neighborhood at this point when this was getting big, and like inside my mostly like we had like one or two black kids in the whole school, and everyone knew their name type of thing, right?
Uh-huh.
But even in here, there was an East Coast versus West Coast like beef. So if you were known to like Tupac and someone else liked Biggie, then like you weren't allowed to be friends, or there would be like a fight at lunch or something. So I liked him, but I didn't outwardly like him because I wasn't trying to start any trouble with the Crips in my school, because I also really liked Biggie and Wu-Tang that were East Coast. So I was like, if I like Wu-Tang, does that mean that I'm allowed to also like, I like them all under the scenes, but I had to like, outwardly, I had to kind of be like, screw that Tupac guy, man. Yeah, East Coast. For like.
Really? That's interesting. Well, because I grew up on the West Coast, so maybe that's where the difference is.
Were you allowed to listen to Biggie outwardly? No problem?
Yeah, totally. Okay. I listened to the whole like that Biggie
Well,
album.
let me tell you, there were some thugs in Southwest Florida in these white communities that were like, Florida. You better not be listening to Tupac.
Oh, Florida. Yeah, that's funny because I came from like Tupac's side. Like Tupac was fully sanctioned on my side of the coast, but I loved Tupac. Like I loved Tupac, and like even through like my 30s, I was still listening to Tupac. And then when I got on, this is a weird thing. So when I got on X, I met do you know Zen of Machiavelli?
I don't think so.
I love him. I wish everyone would follow his account. He is like a super genius, and he's not just like, he's really good with the numbers. Like he can calculate correspondences between like.
We'll put a link down. We'll put a link down here.
Yeah, anyway, all that to say, he's like super smart, and he's like trained in like literature and poetry. I don't know. He just seems like. Anyway, I met him on Twitter. He helped me like decoding some stuff. Like I learned a lot from him. And he was like, hey, if you like Tupac, you might want to follow this account. And he pointed me to there's another account on X that's it's called Machiavelli. But basically it's the author that wrote this kind of very encoded, cryptic book about the backstory between all of them, between Biggie, between Tupac, between Nas, and like all of the players, Jay-Z. And so there's this like,
he's got to be in there somewhere, right?
Yeah. They're all in there. Like all of the people that were like big during that time. It's like a behind the scenes story of all of their lives. Anyway, all that to say, like, I think it is Tupac, or who, the artist formerly known as Tupac, that's the author of the book, who now runs that account. So like living in this bizarre like dream world, right? Where I used to be like a huge fan, and now I think like.
Do you think Tupac is alive and he's tweeting?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I could be on board for this, but I don't know. It seems it would be too hard to stay out of the limelight. Wouldn't that just like eat you up inside, that you're this huge public figure, and now what, you have to wait for Twitter to get invented until you have some outlet to the outside world again?
Well, they take those vows of silence and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like he had to die in his prime. Like he had to take like the Christ archetype and like die in the like right at the top of the game, right? Like that's how you stay at the top, is to like die in your peak. So like, I don't know, you maybe just follow him and see. He's not trying to, he's very secretive. So it's not like he's trying to, but it does seem like he's just, I don't know. He seems like he's guiding like a psychopomp, like the souls that have found him. He is trying to like silently guide them to help like discover the mysteries for themselves.
I'll be open-minded about that, just because Tupac might be the first time that I heard the word Illuminati, even though his was Kill Illuminati. I had no idea what the heck he was talking about at that time, though. I mean, this is like mid or early 90s.
Yeah.
So it sounded cool. It sounded like this weird thing. I had absolutely no idea what that meant. And then I heard Prodigy say it in that LL Cool J remix song where he says, Illuminati wants my mind, soul, and my body. I was like, I think I've heard that before. And then I think I heard like Wu-Tang say it. So it was basically 90s rap that even put me on to what the hell the Illuminati was to begin with. So I'm open-minded about any of them faking their deaths and having all these extra connections. I don't really believe that Prodigy died by choking on an egg in the hospital, but whatever.
That is such a weird thing. And then did you see like later they published a story that said that Tupac would have died of high cholesterol the same day that he was shot to death because of
it was like a George Floyd situation, right? They were like, he already had fentanyl in the system, so
yeah. They were like, he had been shot 5 times. He would have died of high cholesterol that very same day.
Well, I guess that brings up a good question though. That let's say that Tupac fakes his death, right? Does that mean that the symbolic sacrifice is just as important as an actual sacrifice? Because I'm just trying to think if the sacrifice itself is for something else, if it's for like a god or some sort of an energy, like that thing's going to be like, wait a minute, I see the trick that you pulled on all your own people, but like I still want some blood here. But if you don't care about that and the sacrifice is just for the public response to it, then it makes sense that someone might fake their death. But it wouldn't make sense to me that if you ultimately believe that you're doing a real blood sacrifice and a god is getting something out of this sacrifice, or that you have to feed the earth like agriculturally, then you can't just fake it. Like it has to be a real sacrifice.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever looked into, you want to get weird and conspiracy, have you ever looked into like the soul transfer technology?
What do you mean by technology?
Like that there's a way through like
Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, or like real technology?
Like the electric chair was like a jump chair essentially, where you like your soul could be transferred, kind of like a Chucky Heart of Damballa type thing, where like your soul can be caught and then like downloaded into another vessel. And so then
you just got to say Damballa, give me the power I beg of you, and then you get to live as a doll for a little bit.
Yeah, like so it's like maybe it's both, right? Like maybe it is like a fake death, a real death, right? If that vessel dies and then like but your soul is transferred into another body, you could still like, I don't know, then it's like kind of like you die and you don't die.
I mean, kind of Heaven's Gate believes something adjacent to that, right? That they were just shedding their outer shell and that their inner being was going to hop on board the Hale-Bopp comet and fly off to some like alien heaven or something, I guess. I don't know the fine details, but like they had so much faith in that they were like, all right, let's put this thing to the test.
Well, there's something so symbolic about those Nike shoes that they were all wearing too, right? Because Nike is like the god of the victory, and the victory in a lot of ways relates to death, but that the scythe is like the swoosh on the Nike logo. And did you hear that their Just Do It logo was, or slogan was based on a capital punishment? Like a guy was about to be executed and he said, "Just do it." And that's
I never heard that before. No.
Yeah, that's how they started their slogan, was because of a guy about to be executed.
That kind of sells me on the company a little bit more, to be honest. Kind of badass. Nike comes up when I went to art school. I think anyone that goes to art school, they hear this story about how the Nike swoosh logo was designed by someone and they never got paid for it, and it became one of the most sort of recognized symbols out of any corporate product ever. Or they got paid like $500 or something like that. And it's always been told as this cautionary tale of like, don't trust corporations with your creative work.
Oh, there's probably something like so much deeper to that too. Like that's probably it. Yeah.
Well, because I don't know, this is a weird tangent on that, but there's this concept called a foundation sacrifice, and it spans the entire world. You can find some of the most recent examples that are like real obvious in Asia. There's a lot of them in Burma and China and Japan and Korea, but some of those basically would say that when they were building a bridge or they're building a wall or a tower or some important thing, that disrupting the earth could stir up spirits that were in the earth and ruin the feng shui and all this stuff. So in order to appease them, you had to sacrifice a human being. Sometimes it was like a kid or something. and they would, sacrifice them right on the land and then build on top of it and like just have the bones and everything right under there. And that they would serve as a protector for that area, so that if any other ghosts came along, that they would kind of be like, hey, this is my corner, go find your own corner kind of deal. And then also to appease the spirits that were kind of already there, so that nothing would kind of impede the progress, nothing would fall over, the workers wouldn't get sick. And that this even maybe happens like today, when in some remote locations in like Burma, when they're putting up a new shopping mall or something, they might legitimately be doing this on like the middle of the night on a weekend when all the crews are supposed to be away. Because if you're a project manager with a $15 million construction project, why wouldn't you go and sacrifice some villager if it just gives you a little peace of mind that the project will go okay?
Oh my God. I totally believe that. That's like biblical too. That was happening in the Bible, where they would like sacrifice a son and like build him into the wall or whatever.
Yeah, it's foundational sacrifice. The Japanese word is hitobashura. But it doesn't. It's not just in the East. It's just that they had the most names for it and the most stories, and you can actually go and visit these locations where they did all this stuff. But the same premise is kind of across the board, and I get it all just like ties back into all this. Like, how much of that do you believe? And if you do believe it, can it just be symbolic? Because I guess my understanding too of Christianity, which is a very simplified version, was that it represents that symbolic sacrifice is okay now. Like, you don't actually have to go and kill or shed blood anymore. Like, that's why you've got the blood of Jesus. Like, as long as you've got transubstantiation, Catholics only, by the way, got to be Catholic. But that, like, you don't actually have to do blood sacrifice because it's already been done for you.
Yeah. That's always been super confusing to me. I don't have any, like, I still searched for that. Like, why, right? Like, that's been my biggest hang up with the Bible, is like, why the blood sacrifice in the first place? Like, what is the purpose of it? Right. And they're like, oh, that, like, I've never gotten a satisfactory answer.
Well, I guess that's the only thing that makes sense to me so far. It's not the perfect explanation, but it's that there was so much literal blood sacrifice in every facet of life. In some cases, if you were in like the Canaanites, they were required by law to show up on a certain day and make blood sacrifices, whether you wanted to or not. It was just part of your duty and like your taxes of living in that society. And the story of the Christ like sacrifice and crucifixion was that was the moment that God was like, all right, I've already gotten the best blood sacrifice I'm ever going to get. You're never going to top this, no matter how many babies and oxen or whatever else you try to feed to me. Like, I just got my own kid's blood, and you're not going to top that. Like, he was 5-star, and you guys are going to give me like 3-star at best. That's kind of my understanding of why it's so significant, because it's the reason that we don't have to do any other blood sacrifice anymore.
Yeah. It's like that. I've never understood, like, how does that make everything better, right? Like, how does sacrificing the most innocent person on the earth, like, pay for everybody else's sins, right? It feels upside down. Like, that seems wrong, right? To take like the one good person and kill them. But I don't get it at all. I am still very perplexed about the blood sacrifice, in that, like, who made that rule and why? Like, what is it for? And like they say, the life is in the blood. I sometimes wonder, like, is there only so much operating like life power in this planet? And that's why you have to kill something if you want something to create. So like the Ouroboros, right? Like, everything's cannibalistic. But I forgot.
Yeah, like if we start harvesting, like, find a way to make synthetic blood, you start harvesting enough of it, you find out that we've tapped out the supply. Like you just can't synthesize more because there's a finite amount or something.
Yeah, like, only so much life. Like, have you noticed? I've noticed, since I've been I've noticed by myself, and then I like checked it out. But like, there's a relationship to like wars and bloodshed, and then good economies. And so like, every time there's like this mass human like bloodshed event, like, the economy goes up, the market goes up. Like, we get like everything gets a little better for everybody.
I had a economics teacher in high school, and he told us in like one of the last days of like one of the last weeks, he was like, if there's one thing you guys remember about me, it's that whenever this country goes into a depression or recession, the only way it gets back out is by starting a war. And this was in 2000 or maybe 2001 that he said this, pre 9/11. And so that's always rung true to me. Like I've always believed that since he said that. And then we went through all of that. And historically, if you look back to it, that's exactly what you're talking about, that it's a way to dig yourself out of debt, but it's also just a way that any country has gotten ahead. I know you have to win it too. That's one of the asterisks. Like it's not just the bloodshed. You also have to win the war, and then you get all. It's like a like one of those games of poker where it's like, you know, make it take, or everyone has to buy in, and everyone's playing until their last chip, and then one person wins the entire pot. And one of my favorite examples of this one, I think it was in back when Rome was fighting Carthage and the Phoenicians and stuff, but that you would fight, and I guess even the Civil War was an example, but you would fight on this big battleground, and then everyone that died there, you would inherit that land. Whoever were the victors, you inherit that land, and the blood and the iron and the nutrients from the blood would then turn that into one of the most fertile places that you could grow food out of. And then people would grow the food because symbolically they're eating the power of their ancestors and the people that fought there and the people that they, you know, defeated. They're like consuming all this power and their energy. But this was like a literal thing because it really did make the crops better. So not only would they find strategic places to have these battlegrounds, but they would do it in a place where it's like, hey, even if a bunch of people die, we're going to get some nice crops next year. So like that type of blood sacrifice, at some point, someone was like, maybe we could just like kill some people and just put their blood over here. And maybe that's as good as going to war. I don't know. I don't know what it would have been like is if you were the one commanding all of this. But I think that there's a direct connection between like that mystical properties of blood and actually seeing like agriculture get spawned from it. So like the connection between blood sacrifice and agricultural deity worship seems like it would have been natural.
Oh yeah. Why else would they do it? Right? Like people talk about primitive cultures like they were just so stupid. There's no way. Like there's no way humans would just like kill their kids without any like evidence of like some, you know, something coming out of it, right?
We're not idiots. We're going to eat like Tide Pods or something. We wouldn't do that.
Yeah, we're highly evolved, intelligent beings. I mean, to me, I feel like you would have to have really like some sort of solid belief that there was going to be a trade-off that was going to come from the sacrifice.
Well, it's, again, why are you filling out that survey? Because there's going to be something in it for you.
Yeah.
Like, a blood sacrifice is really just a really ancient version of a corporate survey.
Oh my God. That's brilliant. Sorry.
All right. I got a couple other questions. I'm going to just pepper match you. Let me play the intro.
Hey, conspiracy buffs. I double dare you to take some PCP, the Paranormal Conspiracy Probe. On your marks, get set, and go!
Okay, I'm gone now for this segment. This is a new part of my camera, I guess. You were warned how this works, so I'm just going to get right into it.
Okay.
Rate flat Earth from a scale of 1 to 10.
6.
Bigfoot.
8.
Celebrity clones.
9.
Little gray aliens.
7.
Shape-shifting reptilian aliens.
7.
How about the idea that a deja vu is some sort of message that you're supposed to be acting on?
10.
How about dinosaurs?
4.
Dragons.
8.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be higher. 9/11 was an inside job.
9.
Oklahoma City was an inside job.
8.
Okay, this one's got some qualifiers. A human being has stepped foot on the moon in the last 100 years, televised or not.
I don't know. 6.
How about that Stanley Kubrick was involved with whatever the Apollo mission footage that people saw on TV?
Yeah, 10.
How about angels?
10.
Does that mean demons are 10 too?
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? 1 to 10 that an atheist could go on Amazon and order How to Summon Demons for Dummies, read it over the weekend, and summon a demon on Monday.
Probably at least, yeah, is 7.
Do you think they would go to hell for that?
The atheist?
Yeah, for summoning a demon. Is that something that you would go to hell for, and then you didn't like ask for forgiveness afterwards?
I think you would bring hell on yourself. And I mean, I already think we are in a type of hell, so that's kind of like baseline.
Okay, heaven, 1 to 10.
Yeah. What about that? Heaven's real?
Yeah, the heaven's real, 1 to 10, and it's not just like a state of mind that it's like you die, you get judged, you get to go and live in paradise.
I'm gonna go with 10 because that's like hopeful too. That's like I'll give it 9.
How about cryogenesis? Whether or not you think it works or could work.
9.
And then, do you think AI could be used for good? 1 to 10.
9.
What about social media used for good?
7.
I like it. Lots of high scores, even ones that you were like, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion. 6. And it's like some people struggle so much. I'll get like a 5.1 or like, a 5.5. But I like that it's almost a default of 6 where it's like, I want to believe. Even if I don't yet, like I'm ready to.
I'm pretty open-minded. Like I've been kind of like mind blown about too many things at this stage of my life to like outright shut much down. So
I just got one follow-up on all of that. Why do dinosaurs get a 4 and dragons get an 8? What's the reasoning behind this?
Well, okay, for one, dinosaurs aren't in the Bible, but dragons are. And for 2, I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe I should have. Dinosaurs were like my lowest. You know why? Because they teach us dinosaurs in school.
Is this a reactionary thing? It's like, screw you, Rockefeller system. I don't believe in dinosaurs because you pushing on me too hard.
I don't believe in math. Yeah.
I get it. I think honestly, I'm glad that you're even able to maybe vocalize that reaction, because I feel like a lot of the people that have the same rating, like dinosaurs get half of what dragons get. It is sort of like, because the system told me dinosaurs are real, so therefore they have to be fake. And since everyone says that dragons are fake, well, I guess this inverted world that it's opposite day today. So I've got to like do the opposite of everything.
Well, so when I was atheist most of my life, and the dinosaurs thing was always a big reason why. I was like, the Bible doesn't talk about dinosaurs.
Really? That seems so weird to me. Like, of course, like why couldn't God have just created dinosaurs and didn't tell us about it?
No, yeah. I was like, the Bible obviously like doesn't know what it's
about. If you know God, he leaves stuff out. He doesn't always spell out like every single detail.
Oh, now I know that very well. Now that I'm trying to read the Bible for myself, yes, there's like a lot to be kind of like questioned. But back then when I was an atheist and I just shut everything down, that was like the dinosaurs was one of the biggest reasons why. So also Santa was one of the reasons why I became an atheist at the tender age of 10. So I think that's...
I like to joke. That's my first conspiracy theory where I was like, everyone's in on it. My parents, my teachers, my grandparents, like everybody is in on this global conspiracy to lie to me. For what reason? What are they getting out of this? Like that was a total mind screw.
It was mortifying. I remember like seething, being like, my cousins lied to me. They were like, "Ooh, you gotta go home. Santa's coming. You gotta go to bed." And I was like, I was pissed. I was angry. I was like humiliated. There's like so much that went into that. I was like, I will never get fooled again. And then I went on to live the whole rest of my life getting fooled every other day.
I think it's a good segue into so what was the thing that made you not atheist? Was it an event? Was it like a book that you read? Was it a really awesome after school special?
So for one, I started to like when the whole like learning about all the like dark agenda and all the occult stuff, right? And all the satanic stuff. That's when I was like, okay, there's a God. But then I had like a miracle. Like my coworker, she put me in touch with someone who like I witnessed and experienced like an actual miracle. And that's how it took a miracle for me. So I can't like blame people if they don't believe what I believe.
You talked to someone that saw a miracle, or you yourself saw a miracle?
I myself experienced something miraculous. And because of that, I can't like deny it at all. But then I can't also hold it against other people for not like, if you didn't have a miracle, I can't be like, well, you're just like, you have to have faith or you have this, because that wasn't me. I didn't just take someone else's word for it. Like it took direct intervention. So it's that.
So if you hadn't have personally witnessed the miracle, then you'd still be an atheist now, or
I would not at this point. I would not still be an atheist, because I would have known just through like my studies of the occult and the esoteric and spiritual and all that. I would have known there are like spiritual principles influencing this realm. There is light, there is dark, but I wouldn't have I wouldn't believe in Christ. I definitely wouldn't, because that's like the dinosaurs, right? It's right there in your face. So I would have been like very subversive to it. But now I'm like, no.
When did you get open to conspiracy theories? Because you mentioned 2020 a couple times. Was it like the big world event? Is that what you got some extra time working from home and you got extra time to watch some documentaries on Facebook, and next thing you know, you're in queue?
Well, I kind of had started to get that way because of health stuff. Like I had like chronic health conditions my whole life. And I was like, what's up with this medical system? How is this our lives? How is this our reality? Like I was really perplexed about the medical stuff. And then like weirdly, this wasn't even really relevant, but like looking back on my life, like I do think it was weird that I was like partying with Alex Jones back when I was still pretty much asleep. But I feel like I've always been like put on the fringe.
Like in the same room as Alex Jones?
Yeah. I used to hang out with Alex Jones.
Were you a conspiracy theorist at that time, or was
no,
he just
not really?
guy?
I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about or whatever. Like I didn't think much about it at all. But I think it is weird, like now looking back on it, to be like, that is like a very strange.
Did you go within the Bohemian Grove?
No.
Okay. Oh, that's right. No, there's no women allowed there. That's right.
No, and this was like not that. I mean, this was like in I think like 2015. I was dating a guy who was like friends with them. And so that was around the time that like I was hanging out with him.
Okay, so you got to hang out with post Sandy Hook Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's kind of when like Uncle started drinking again, Alex Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't even know much about him back then until I started seeing him on like social media around 2020. I was like, oh God, like that. I had no idea who I was hanging out with that whole time, because he didn't act like that.
He had a similar sort of story where he was like not so religious, and then he said that the more he started learning about occult and how much he perceived other people taking this serious, like, oh, if all these elites are taking it serious and they believe in the dark side, then maybe there's something to this, and I should be, believe in like the light side or whatever. So that was also like a reactionary, like come to Jesus moment, or at least the way that he described it on one of his shows.
What was interesting was he was very interested. My boyfriend and I and his cousin were all supposed to go to Peru and take ayahuasca, and he was adamantly against it. And like what he ended up like he couldn't tell his cousin what to do because he was a grown man, but he is essentially like incentivized him enough to not come with us. So we had to like find someone else to like take his spot on the trip. But and like when we got back, he was very curious about like what happened, how was it, how was like when you did the ayahuasca, and he was like,
I'll do some DMT right now on camera. I don't care, Alex Jones.
Yeah, and it was actually a really terrible time. Like I was fine, but like the guy, my boyfriend at that time, like he had a complete like collapse when we were there. It was like a really bad idea for him to have done ayahuasca, but at the time I thought it was interesting. I thought he was very like overly preoccupied with like that one aspect of the trip. So, and then later when he was talking about like astral parasites and dark entities and stuff latching on, I was like, okay, no one told me any of that before I went and did it. Like, no one gave me that kind of warning.
I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely beyond biased on this particular topic, but I think that it's interesting. There was I'm not even going to cite the guy's name, but there was a study where he was making an interesting point that people latch on to that subjective experience and like weird dreams that they go through and all these like experiences and like emotional dumps, but that there's a chance that the part that's really the most transformative about that whole experience, the whole reason you even go there, it's got nothing to do with the dreams that you have and the memories that you take back, and it's just about the neuroplasticity of your neurons. That like when you take it, it just creates new pathways that didn't exist there before. So that when you come back to, you're literally thinking from a different perspective, and that all the dream world stuff and like I talked to my grandma and she said my life was a lie and like all that stuff. It's just a side effect. It's like when you get a little bit of buzz going to the dentist and they give you gas. Like they didn't give you gas to give you the buzz. They give you the gas as the anesthetic, and you get a nice little buzz as a side effect. It's like, I guess it's been described that way to me, so that people will tend to think it's that subjective part that opens you up to all these demons. If you want to be scared of like the neuroplasticity of your neurons making new pathways. That's probably how the demons really get in.
Yeah, I don't know. So it sounds like you've had a good experience with it.
Terrifying, but I think that that's valuable. I think it's better that it's terrifying than if it's recreational. I think if it's recreational, then it gets abused and there's no real value in it because people get obsessed with the recreational parts of it. So when something's not fun or it's scary, I almost think that it's more valuable because it's like gatekeeping a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I lucked out when I did it because I think my body like rejected it on impact. Like I wanted to vomit as soon as I drank it down. I was like, when can I throw up? And they were like, hold on, like hold it in for like 20 minutes. And so like the minute they gave me the green light, I was like, nah.
See, I don't think I could ever do it in one of those situations. Like, and I get criticized all the time by all my friends that have been to one of these ayahuasca retreats. But if I want to like change my mind about something or go on some like soul trip, I'd rather do it like on my couch with like, you know, a nice glass of water next to me in a bathroom with privacy and stuff. I don't want to fly across the country and then be worried that I'm going to be unconscious or out of my mind. And like, where's my passport? Where's my wallet? You know, are you feeding me something? Did you wash your hands? Like, I don't even want to think about any of that. So I'd rather just go like order a DMT vape from my friend and then just like do it on the couch and then call it a day. Like to me, that would be just as soul nourishing as like spending the money to fly to Colombia, where the hell you have to go.
That actually sounds pretty reasonable, I think. Yeah, you make a great point there.
I mean, yeah, I don't fly to Mexico every time I want a burrito, right? Sometimes you can just like pop one in the microwave.
I don't think that like back then it wasn't everywhere though. Like you couldn't just get it, or you could, I don't know. Maybe you could. It
is true. If we're talking 90s or like early 2000s, again, it's a new world, and if anything, that's why maybe you should be more optimistic. Not you in particular, Anna, but just like anyone out there, more optimistic, because things are always getting better. Now you can just grab a DMT vape. You don't have to fly to Colombia.
Look how good we have it now, kids. Lifespans are getting longer. You can get your DMT in the mail.
I think that's a great place to wrap it off. Where should people go? What kind of projects do you have going on? Do you have any like parting wisdom?
Just what was Jerry Springer's like closing statement? He said,
"Get your dogs spayed and neutered." Oh no, that was Bob Barker.
That was Bob Barker. Jerry Springer was like, "Take care of one another." Whenever he'd say that after everyone had a brawl on his show.
You're smart enough, you're good enough, and God darn it, people like you, or something like that.
Yeah. No, my message is just, you guys. I mean, anyone who's interested in symbolism, that's basically what I post. I post about like esoteric and occult and like symbolism that plays out in pop culture. So if you're interested, you can follow me there and Nicole Wordsmith. And otherwise, my message is just to just to heal up, lift the vibration, get your body healthy, get your mind healthy, do things that make you have fun, and forgive yourself, forgive each other, love everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Learn about the full history of the Bavarian Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt, Alumbrados, Jesuits, Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and more. From the 18th century to modern day, we expose it all. That's right, it's the Illuminati comic from Donut and Paranoid American. Get yours now at illuminaticomic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hate, maybe a language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Matters not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when a beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.